Imagine an elderly man who has lived his entire life in the Bronx. His catalog of the natural world is entirely built on what he sees on those concrete streets: pigeons, rats, and the occasional stray cat. That is the absolute limit of his reality. Then his grandkids drag him to the city zoo. He turns a corner and comes face to face with a massive giraffe. He stares at these impossible stilt-like legs and the massive neck stretching up into the clouds. It completely defies his biological frame of reference. He sweats, stares for a long time, shakes his head, turns his back, and mutters, "There is no such animal." This psychological defense mechanism mirrors our own skepticism. We construct our reality based on the narrow spectrum of light and sound we can easily detect. When a phenomenon falls outside that window, the easiest reaction is to simply deny its existence, keeping our world safe and predictable.
Itzhak Bentov approached these perceptual limits not as a theorist, but as a tinkerer. He was a basement inventor in Massachusetts, building medical instruments and specialized tools. He viewed the study of consciousness as a mechanical engineering problem, something with gears that could be understood through nuts and bolts. To ground his mechanics, we can look at a very mundane action: flipping a light switch in your own basement. Closing that circuit forces electrons to bump into copper atoms, creating friction and heat. The wire microscopically expands, pushing the air molecules around it to create a tiny and visible acoustic thump of air. That action also has a cosmic reach. Accelerating the mass of those electrons generates a magnetic field and an infinitesimal gravitational wave. Because nothing blocks gravity, that pulse shoots out at the speed of light, penetrating your walls, the crust of the Earth, and traveling out past the moon. This makes the idea of an isolated event a physical impossibility. Every movement of the human body transforms us into a broadcasting tower, radiating interference patterns to the absolute edge of the universe. If the universe is a chaotic ocean of overlapping broadcasting waves, we need a mechanism to explain how constant motion results in stable, solid objects, like a table or a chair. The Chladni plate experiment demonstrates this mechanism. When you vibrate a flat metal sheet with a violin bow, scattered sand bounces away from the movement. It seeks the nodes, the quiet spots of zero vibration. The chaos instantly rearranges into a highly symmetrical geometric mandala. Scaling this to 3 dimensions gives us the crystal box experiment. If you vibrate a fluid-filled box from all 6 sides simultaneously, you create a 3-dimensional grid of sound. Particles in the fluid are pushed into a perfectly spaced, rigid lattice structure that looks exactly like a solid crystal. This stable, standing wave is what we perceive as solid matter. The physical world is essentially frozen sound, actively sustained by vibration to prevent it from dissolving back into the void. These intersecting waves also serve as an information storage system. When 3 pebbles drop into a calm pond, their ripples expand and overlap. This creates a complex mathematical web known as an interference pattern. If you were to flash freeze that water and pick up a single tiny jagged fragment of the ice, you would be holding the encoded data of the entire event. By shining a disciplined laser beam through that one small piece, you can unlock the full picture. That tiny shard will optically reconstruct a 3-dimensional wireframe image of all 3 original pebbles. Because the ripples from each pebble traveled across the entire surface of the water, the total history of the event is recorded in every single square inch. This holographic principle applies to the structure of reality itself. Every piece of matter, no matter how small, contains the complete mathematical blueprint of the entire cosmos. Nature organizes these systems through entrainment, the tendency for independent vibrating objects to spontaneously sync up to conserve energy. It is the path of least resistance. This was observed when oysters were shipped from the Atlantic to a dark, landlocked laboratory in Evanston, Illinois. After 2 weeks, the oysters stopped opening to the coastal tides and recalibrated their biological rhythms. They began to open and close exactly when the moon was overhead in Evanston, feeling its subtle gravitational pull through the laboratory roof. The human body experiences a similar mechanical shift in deep meditation. As the heart rate slows and breathing stops, the circulatory system enters a state of resonance.
The heart and aorta create a 7 Hz standing wave that physically sloshes the brain, generating small electrical currents in the cortex. This reveals enlightenment as a mechanical process. It is the literal resonance of human plumbing tuning itself to a cosmic frequency. To find the baseline of this resonance, we can use a supermicroscope to peel back the layers of the human body. Past the organic tissue, we find crystalline bone structures that are piezoelectric, meaning they produce electricity and sing with energy every time we move. Zooming further past the atomic level, we enter a staggering spatial void. If the nucleus were a grain of sand, the electron cloud would be across a large room, 10 meters away. Everything in between is empty space. Finally, we penetrate the nucleus itself. At this ultimate resolution, the supposed hard center of matter dissolves. It is revealed to be nothing but a shadowy pulsation of energetic fields. Reality is 99.999% empty space. Because our bodies are made of these interlocking pulsating fields, the boundary between our skin and the rest of the universe is an arbitrary convention. This deconstruction reframes how we view healing. Disease is a disruption in a vibratory pattern, a loss of coherence where an organ is playing a wrong note. Healing is the mechanical entrainment of that system back to its healthy baseline rhythm. This leaves us with a profound shift in perspective. If your energetic fields extend to infinity and they are constantly interacting with everyone else's, where exactly do you end and the rest of the universe begin? When you walk into a crowded room and catch a vibe, you are feeling a literal physics event. It is the physical interference pattern created as your consciousness intersects with another. You are the continuous, vibrating electricity running through a boundless holographic universe.